In September 2025, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth summoned hundreds of the nation's most senior military leaders to a secretive meeting at Quantico, Virginia. The sheer scale and urgency of this gathering were unprecedented in modern American history, immediately drawing attention from both the public and military observers. This event did not occur in isolation. It was set against a backdrop of growing tensions between the administration's political vision and the traditional ethos of the armed forces. For years, debates over military culture, ideological direction, and the role of civilian oversight had been intensifying. The meeting's clandestine nature and the absence of a publicly disclosed agenda fueled speculation about its true purpose and the potential for sweeping changes within the Department of Defense. As the nation watched, questions mounted about what this extraordinary assembly might signal for the future of civil-military relations in the United States. At the heart of the meeting, called by Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, was a bold ideological agenda. Reports indicate that a primary focus was the dismantling of diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives within the armed forces, with directives to shutter DEI offices and remove related positions. This effort extended to reversing progressive policies, including those concerning gender identity and climate change as a security priority. The meeting also served as a platform to enforce strict ideological conformity among senior officers, signaling that future promotions and assignments would hinge on alignment with the administration's vision. Such measures represent a significant shift away from the military's traditional nonpartisan ethos, aiming instead to reshape the culture and priorities of the officer corps. The secrecy and scale of the gathering underscore the intent to implement these changes swiftly and without public debate, marking a pivotal moment in civil-military relations. The meeting at Quantico was not only a venue for policy announcements, but also a strategic exercise in loyalty screening among the military's senior leadership. By assembling hundreds of generals and admirals, Secretary Hegseth created an environment where reactions to his directives could be closely observed, allowing for the identification of those most aligned with the administration's political vision. This process enabled the rapid classification of officers into loyalists, compliant skeptics, and dissenters. Those demonstrating clear support were positioned for promotion and influential command roles, while those expressing discomfort or resistance faced the prospect of being sidelined or pressured into retirement. Such a shift marks a departure from the traditional nonpartisan ethos of military leadership, placing greater emphasis on personal and ideological alignment over merit or experience. The implications of this strategy are profound, as it redefines the criteria for advancement and fundamentally alters the culture of the officer corps. During the meeting, senior military leaders were briefed on a significant strategic reorientation for the United States Armed Forces. The new approach emphasizes a move away from traditional multilateral alliances, favoring a more unilateral posture in global affairs. China was identified as the primary adversary, with increased resources and attention directed toward the Indo-Pacific region. Additionally, border security was elevated as a national priority, with discussions about expanding the military's role in addressing illegal immigration. The doctrine outlined also called for greater unpredictability in military operations, instructing commanders to be prepared for rapid, disruptive actions against adversaries. This strategic shift marks a departure from established norms and signals a new era in U.S. defense policy. The meeting convened by Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth was not only a managerial maneuver, but also a powerful act of political symbolism. By gathering hundreds of senior military leaders in one place, Hegseth sought to bypass the traditional layers of bureaucracy that often slow the implementation of sweeping changes. This direct approach ensured that his directives would be clearly understood and immediately actionable, minimizing the risk of resistance or misinterpretation. At the same time, the sheer scale and secrecy of the assembly served as a dramatic display of civilian authority over the armed forces. For observers, it projected an image of decisive leadership and reinforced the administration's narrative of taking charge of a military perceived as resistant to change. Internally, the meeting sent a strong message to the officer corps about where power now resides, signaling a shift toward more centralized and personalized control. The event thus functioned as both a catalyst for rapid transformation and a ritual of submission, marking a new era in civil-military relations. The secret meeting, convened by Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, marked a pivotal moment for the U.S. military, signaling a sweeping transformation driven from the highest levels of leadership. By gathering hundreds of senior officers in a single confidential forum, the administration delivered a unified mandate for ideological, organizational, and strategic change. This event served as both a loyalty test and a managerial shock, bypassing traditional channels to enforce rapid implementation of new priorities. The implications extend far beyond immediate policy shifts, potentially reshaping the culture, structure, and global posture of the armed forces. Over time, these changes may influence military morale, recruitment, and the nation's relationships with allies. Ultimately, the Quantico meeting stands as a catalyst for redefining the character and mission of the U.S. military in an era of heightened political and strategic uncertainty.